Hi, my name is Nicole. Welcome to my channel, Travel to Money. In this video, I will share with you about a long weekend in Rome, traveling from Italy to Greece, about my favorite apps for booking flights and transportation, and some of my adventures in Greece, including the drowning of my phone and seeing a knife pulled on someone. If you are new here, I have created this channel to help you learn about how to travel, adventure, and have fun on the road to financial independence. I have spent the last few years traveling the world. I bought and paid off a house in Spain. I've worked all kinds of side jobs and have used all of this to help me move toward financial independence. I believe that the road to financial freedom can and should be fun. I hope that you'll jump on this journey with me, no matter where you are starting from. After all the hassle it was taking me to go to and from Rome for a day, I decided to take an extra day off of work and book a long weekend in Rome. I got a decent deal at a beautiful hotel not far from the river. I believe I paid $75 per night, which included an incredible breakfast each day. I met up with several different couch surfers over the course of the weekend. One young man named Luca showed me around more of the sights in Rome. I remember feeling stunned when we were walking down a road and he pointed to a building and told me that is where Peter and Paul were imprisoned. As a person of Christian faith, it was incredible to me to be standing in a place where such legends of the faith had once been. Every day as I would return to my hotel, just up the street would be a massive line of people waiting outside a door. I wasn't sure what was behind this door or why there were always so many people waiting. One day, as I left the hotel, I noticed that no one was around. I walked up to the door to see if there was a sign about something when I realized what the wait was for. This door had a small hole in it. When you look through the hole, there is the most beautiful view of Vatican City. It is treasures like this that would continue to take me by surprise on my travels. Another evening, I met up with a couch surfer named Marco. He was an older gentleman who had lived his life traveling the world and working in education. He took me out to eat for a typical Italian dinner. He informed me that Italians have an appetizer, followed by a first and a second entree. The food was delicious, but all I had room for was a single entree. I love food, but I'm not sure I can keep up during an Italian dinner. Wrapping up my time in Italy was bittersweet. Due to my health, I had missed out on quite a bit, but I was also ready for a change, and Greece was on the horizon. My ticket from Rome to Athens was just under $73 US. Let's talk about booking flights and how I generally find the best deals. The shortest and easiest answer is a site called Skyscanner. You can visit the website or use the app. They not only pull fares from individual carriers, but they also pull fares from other third-party sites like Orbitz. It has by far been the best resource for flights. Let me tell you about a couple of cool features using this site. If you don't know exactly where you want to go and you are curious about cheap flights, you can put in your departure airport and then in the destination slot, select Everywhere. This will pull up a list of countries that you can fly to, starting with the cheapest and working your way up in price. Once you select the country, it will show you a list of cities and the cheapest prices for each city. This can be fun if you want to spend a little time dreaming about all the possibilities you have at reasonable prices. Another cool feature that I use works like this. If you know your departure airport and your destination, instead of putting in the dates, you can select to see the whole month view. If anyone else has run searches for those destinations, it will give you an idea of the price for each day, highlighting the best prices in green so that they are easy to see. I also use Skyscanner for car rentals, but there is a lot to share about that, so we'll have to cover that in the future. There are also lots of other tips and tricks for flights, but for now, I'll leave you with one more app that I love. Even though I haven't booked with them yet, guaranteed I will do it in the future. I don't remember who first showed me this app, but it's called 80 Days, and their website is 80days.me, M-E. Looking at it today, it looks like they are only offering European destinations. It used to include North America and somewhere else, but I'm guessing the pandemic has affected it. Anyway, guys, this is so much fun. Go on the app and then select your departure destination. Then you select from one of a few options. The options may change based on your departure airport. For example, if I put in that I'm leaving from Orlando, Florida, I can select either Europe, all countries, or Europe, best places to visit. Then you select your dates for travel. I'd recommend a minimum of 2 weeks for this app. You can leave it set to anywhere, or you can tell it to include or exclude certain cities. From there, select Design Adventure. Then it will create something like this for you. This is the one I ran today that ended up including different destinations in France and Italy, leaving from Paris. If you change the date or your departure destination, each time it will design a different adventure for you. The price you see is for transportation only. You are responsible for booking your accommodations like hotel, Airbnb, hostel, or couch surfing. The forms of transportation that it may include are trains, planes, and ferries. Ferries are my favorite. I remember messaging them with questions one time through Facebook Messenger, and their customer service and response time was off the charts. The cool thing is that they handle all of the transportation booking and ticketing for you, including your bags if you decide to add luggage. If something goes wrong, they do everything on their end to get things sorted. Seriously, this is such a fun and cheap way to have an adventure. Download it on your phone now and try it out. The reason I haven't used this yet is because I generally travel to each destination for a long period of time since I work from home. But if I'm ever in Europe and not working for a couple of weeks, I will definitely try this out. Here is another one I ran today, leaving from Valencia for 2 weeks in August. Do you see how cheap this is? Then there is one more I ran, leaving from Athens in August for 2 weeks. And look, it even includes a Greek island. Every one of these 2-week trips that I've shown you has had at least 5 destinations and costs less than $300. Plus, that includes a carry-on bag. Okay, back to the story. I took off for Athens, and when I landed, I had decided to take a train into the city. The airport is about 30 minutes outside of the city. You know what's difficult though? The Greek language. I took a train about halfway there, and when I deboarded to catch the next train, I could not for the life of me figure out where I was supposed to be going. No one I asked seemed to give me enough confidence in their answer. Eventually, I just walked outside of the train station and called an Uber. The Uber driver dropped me off at my Airbnb and told me not to go outside at night in this neighborhood. Great. Just what you want to hear. Greece was a new start for me though. My health had finally improved and the weather was improving too. I learned fairly quickly the various routes I could take into the city on foot. It was about a 30-minute walk and one that I made at least a few times per week. I was falling in love with Greece. I met up with another couch surfer on my first weekend in the city. He picked me up near the center and took me on his motorcycle to the beach side. It was still a bit chilly outside, and I remember my teeth freezing on the motorcycle because the vibe was so incredible near the sea that I couldn't stop smiling. Then he introduced me to the way Greeks drink coffee, which is a frappe. Between the coffee and the feta cheese on my Greek salad, I was pretty much in heaven. I was enjoying the beautiful city of Athens immensely. The street art, the Acropolis, the feta, and the coffee were making for a wonderful entry into spring. One day, I was reading about the islands and had never thought about visiting the island of Patmos, where the book of Revelation was written. I had determined to try to go there over the Easter weekend. I ended up meeting up in Athens with a new friend named Caio from Brazil. He was on his last day in Athens, and we spent the evening strolling the city, trying some moussaka and red wine. He told me about his favorite island, the Island of Rhodes. He said he loved it because it had both a rich history and also beautiful beaches. I went home that evening and booked myself a long Easter weekend trip to Rhodes. Caio and I still stay in touch from time to time. It's great to know I have a friend wherever he is in the world. On Good Friday, I took a quick flight to Rhodes. It's pretty far from the mainland of Greece, right up next to Turkey, and it's one of the larger islands. I rented a car from a local person who met me at the airport, and I took off for my Airbnb. My host told me that his son was sick and asked me to stop by his home to pick up the keys instead of him coming to meet me at the apartment. It was just up the street from the place I was renting. When I arrived, sure enough, his son was on the couch with a tummy ache. They offered me some fresh fruit, and then he took out some shot glasses and poured some clear liquid and brought me one. The week before, I had been in a restaurant where they brought me clear liquid in a shot glass that turned out to be some sort of sugar water. I guess it is like a little gesture of a sweet treat. So when the host gave me the shot glass, I threw it back rather quickly and was very surprised to realize that this was not sugar water, and it burned all the way down. I was trying to keep my face from looking shocked. He then mentioned a church service that would be happening up the road that evening as part of the Easter weekend. I thought it was kind of funny that he gave me a shot and then sent me off to church. The weekend in Rhodes was lovely. I went to the church service that night, I walked around the old town of Rhodes the next day, and then I met up with a lovely couchsurfing host, Theodoros. He showed me around parts of the old town, and then we had dinner where I experienced having a Cretan salad. It was basically like a Greek salad, but with a barley bread mixed into it. I've never had another one like it. He told me not to try them back on the mainland. I tried anyway and found out that he was right. They just weren't the same. But, funny story. One of the times in Athens that I decided to try a Cretan salad, I was sitting outside on a restaurant patio of sorts when a tall and large woman who appeared to be begging was walking through the different outdoor restaurant areas. One of the waiters at the restaurant I was at approached her to ask her not to approach the guests or something like that, and this woman pulled a knife out on him. I sat there with my mouth agape. I'd never seen such a thing before. She threatened him a bit and then she walked away. The few of us who saw it all had a bit of nervous laughter. Alright, back to the Island of Rhodes. Historically, Rhodes was very famous worldwide for the Colossus of Rhodes, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The medieval old town of the city of Rhodes has been declared a World Heritage Site. Today, it is one of the most popular tourist destinations in Europe. I've now been there twice, and it is definitely one of my favorite places in the world. On my last day in Rhodes, I took the advice of my friend Kyle, and I drove about an hour to the city of Lindos. This place is everything. On the hilltop is the Acropolis of Lindos, which sits high between the city and the sea. The circular orchestra and the auditorium for the spectators were hollowed out of the side of the hill. There is a base left from a statue of Athena, which dates back to 300 BC. The history is rich and the views are unparalleled. It's the kind of place that overwhelms my emotions. After touring the historic area, I decided to rent a kayak for €5. I went out into the cove and I was doing a live video on Facebook when I decided to stick my phone camera under the beautiful clear water. My phone was waterproof, so why not? Well, it turns out that when I had had my screen replaced a few months beforehand, they had failed to inform me that my phone was no longer waterproof. Regardless, this was maybe one of the dumber things I've done while traveling. There on the kayak in the cove, my phone went black. I could no longer take pictures, make contact with anyone, or more importantly, I had now lost my GPS, which I used for everything. I was on the eastern shore of the island and had to somehow get myself back to the airport on the other side of the island without my GPS. Fortunately, the road signs were good and I made my way back. I still had a couple of hours before my flight, so I took my computer into a coffee shop so that I could let my friends and family know that I no longer had a phone. I wrote my new friend Theodoros, and he came to the cafe to sit with me for a bit and say goodbye. It all worked out okay. It turns out that when you don't have a phone, you really get to plug into the resourcefulness of the people all around you. What we miss out on by using phones for all of our answers is this human connection and leaning on each other in a way that can actually be quite beautiful. When I got back to my apartment in Athens, I called my friends back in the States, and they were able to send me one of my old phones. I tried a repair shop, but some of the tools for the model phone are different in Europe than they are in the US. Kind of a pain. I went about a week without a phone, and honestly, it was one of my favorite weeks. When I left the house, I had no means of communication or GPS, and I think I learned during this time just how much we look at our phones. I would be reaching for mine every few minutes on the first day or two, only to remember that I didn't have it. I became so much more aware of my surroundings during this time, and because I was paying more attention, I ended up stumbling upon little museums and things that I never would have found if I had just been following my GPS. I recommend this. When you're traveling for at least one day in each place, put the phone away for a while and just wander. You know what I'm going to say now. Not all those who wander are lost. Thank you, Tolkien, for your words. In the next video, I'll tell you about the most memorable chance meeting of my travels, heading for the first time to Spain, how I book my car rentals, and more. If you have enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, tap the like button, and join me on this ride where travel and adventure build financial freedom. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to see where your dreams will take you.